Shabbat Shalom, and thank you to Rabbi Starr and Congregation Shaarey Zedek for this opportunity. I was advised by my rabbi to open with a joke, so I will wisely follow that good advice. Molly and Harry had been married for more than 60 years. They had shared everything. They talked about everything, and they kept no secrets from each other. Except that Molly had this shoebox on the top of her closet that she had cautioned Harry to never open and to never ask her about. For all these years, he had really never thought about the box. But one day, Molly became very sick, and the doctor told her that she may not recover, and that she should best go home and start to sort out her affairs. In trying to sort out their affairs, Harry took down the shoebox and said, "Molly, maybe it's time for us to talk about what's in the shoebox." Molly agreed that it was time and that he should know what was in the box. When he opened it, he found 2 crocheted dolls and $95,000. He asked Molly about the contents. She explained, "When we were married, my grandmother explained to me that the secret of a happy marriage is to never argue, and that if I should ever get angry with you, I should just keep quiet and crochet a doll." Harry was so moved, he had to fight back tears. There were only 2 precious dolls in the box. It meant Molly had only been angry with him 2 times in all of these years of living and loving. "Honey, that explains the dolls, but what about all of this money? Where did it come from?" "Oh, that's the money I made from selling all the dolls." Well, let me share with you how difficult it is to find a joke on the topic of aging or older adults that in some way is not offensive or ageist. This is exactly what I'd like to talk to you about today. In this week's Torah portion, Kol HaMoed Sukkot, Exodus chapter 33, verse 12, through chapter 34, verse 26, Moses asked to see the face of God. God explains that a human cannot survive seeing the face of God, but agrees to later walk past Moses so that God's back, presence, and goodness can be seen. God then instructs Moses to return to Mount Sinai alone, where the 2 new tablets with the 10 Commandments will again be written after the first set had been destroyed by Moses. More on this later. Moses climbs to the designated spot where he witnesses God pass before. Moses is awestruck and describes the 13 attributes of God. Among them is God's compassion, graciousness, slow to anger, and abounding in kindness. Moses then asks God to forgive the Jewish people for their transgressions and make the Jewish people God's heritage. God tells Moses that there is a covenant between God and the Jewish people. God instructs Moses that the Jewish people will not participate in idolatry, will sanctify their firstborn, and will not cook a kid in its mother's milk. The reading ends with God commanding us to keep the festivals Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. I would like to focus my remarks about older adults to the area of the portion following the breaking of the tablets. During Rosh Hashanah, I was looking at my Lev Shalem Machzor, and a sidebar came to my attention multiple times. It was a sidebar that discussed how Moses instructed that the broken tablets be carried alongside the new tablets in the Aron HaKodesh, and how valuable those broken pieces were to the people. Through this act, Moses was showing the people how things that become broken are still of high value and must be treated the same as the things that are so-called whole. At the time I was sitting in shul, I was struck at the same passage would stick out to me 2 days in a row. Now I recognize that in my professional life, as the Executive Director of Aging Services at Jewish Senior Life, I represent and advocate for older adults who could be seen as broken, similar to the first set of tablets. And it is through my work that I would like to illustrate how you can show older adults how you can value them and help to combat ageism so that everyone can be treated as whole. Ageism is a type of discrimination that involves prejudice against people based upon their age. Similar to racism and sexism, ageism involves holding negative stereotypes about people of different ages. The term was first described by gerontologist Robert N. Butler in 1969 to describe discrimination against older adults. Today, the term is often applied to any type of age-based discrimination, whether it involves prejudice against children, teenagers, adults, or older adults. Researchers have also found that ageism is surprisingly commonplace. In one study published in 2013 in The Gerontologist, researchers looked at how older people were represented in Facebook groups. They found 84 groups devoted to the topic of older adults. But most of those groups had been created by people in their 20s, and nearly 75 of those groups existed to criticize older people. Nearly 40% advocated banning older adults from activities such as driving and shopping. AARP reports that 1 in every 5 workers in the United States is over age 55. Nearly 65% of workers say they have experienced age-based discrimination at work, and 58% of those surveyed believe that ageism became apparent starting at age 50. The American Psychological Association suggests that ageism is a serious issue that should be treated the same as sex, race, disability-based discriminations. They suggest that raising public awareness about the issues of ageism can help. As the population of older adults continues to increase, finding ways to minimize ageism will become increasingly important. We are a youth-oriented society with a population that is rapidly aging. And in our society, ageism is insidious. It perpetuates powerful and pervasive stereotypes that demean the individual. It denies them the respect they rightfully have earned over decades, and it often determines the quality of their lives. Instead of celebrating life's journey, ageism assaults America's core values, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Allow me to give a brief example of how pervasive ageism is in our community. Last year, on the 100th day of school, my Facebook page was lit up with young people who were dressing like older adults on the 100th day of school. There were photos showing little kids hunched over with toy walkers, sporting gray wigs and fake glasses. All of the regalia, makeup, fake wrinkles, wigs, and canes is available at any and all party stores and costume shops as the 100th day of school approaches. What is the lesson we are teaching our children? When our son had his 100th day of school in kindergarten, we proudly printed 100 photos of his 100-year-old great-grandmother, Victoria Giles, to show the beauty of aging and the pride we felt in having a 100-year-old in our family. Once an opportunity to teach elementary school kids about the number 100, the day has devolved into a bizarre dress-up ritual that equates old age with disability and little more. Much research shows that attitudes towards aging, like attitudes towards race and gender, start to form during these informative, impressionable early years. Millennials and baby boomers are change agents. They want to make a difference. Over 10 million of them are also caregivers, like many of you. In fact, according to AARP, 25% of all caregivers are between the ages of 18 and 34, each delivering roughly 20 hours of care a week to an older adult. As caregivers, they are witnessing and experiencing aging and noticing blatant and subtle acts of ageism. And they are seeing firsthand how fragmented, complex, and expensive our service delivery system is. At Jewish Senior Life, we assist our community members to age with grace and dignity, and to help them manage the complex system of benefits and services that are available to help them do so. It is our mission at Jewish Senior Life to nurture a sense of community and enrich the lives of older adults while embracing Jewish values and celebrating life. I would like to emphasize the word community and celebrating life as part of that statement. It is so important for older adults not to be isolated by conditions that have changed as they have aged. And living in community helps eliminate that isolation. Additionally, joy is not something reserved for those under the age 62. At JSL, we try to infuse each day with learning and community and socialization, a celebration of life. In addition to offering our beautiful, warm residences on 2 campuses where these communities and those in them thrive, we have an array of home and community-based services to assist older adults to live in community. If there is a way we can assist you or your loved one, we are here to be of assistance. Slowly but deliberately, we must shift how we think and act towards older adults as we work towards eliminating ageism together. Congregation Shaarey Zedek is working towards doing its part through our new Inclusion Committee. Inclusion is so much more than being welcoming to all members of our community. It includes asking ourselves questions such as, are older adults comfortable in our CSZ home? Our new beautiful restrooms where someone can have an attendant assist them is one of the ways we can show our inclusiveness, as this could have been a barrier to an older adult feeling comfortable in shul. We must always ask ourselves if we have barriers that lead towards ageism. After all, ageism makes all that we do so much harder, creating barriers to sound public policy, inhibiting workforce recruitment, and negatively impacting philanthropy, among other things. It's a tall order to change the beliefs and traditions that are fueling ageism. However, not only do older adults deserve this change, but so do the generations that follow. On this Shabbat, may we as a synagogue family and as a Jewish community take the lead in raising awareness and attention to ageism, and be more aware of how our actions and words can contribute to the negative view of older adults. May we too be like Moses and lead the way in carrying our tablets that some see as broken and others might identify as possessing a rich history and experience with great honor, respect, and appreciation. Shabbat Shalom.